Today we are going to learn about the different separation technique of compounds. It may be of natural origin or synthetic origin. In this chapter or unit, if you look, it has been classified in four different categories. The first one is TLC, followed by column chromatography, then paper chromatography, and last you have to learn about electrophoresis. Before we go into the detail of the individual chapter, we have to learn about the mechanism of the process of separation. How does the separation happen? So when we look into the separation of a compound, we have to learn many more aspects of separation because separation is quite a challenging factor. The removing impurities from a compound is not so easy, and there are a number of methods through which the separation is being attended. But still there is a question mark to attain 100% pure compound. So in that context, we are going to learn about the basic concept of this separation before we proceed on for the chapters. So let us learn about the adsorption chromatography, methodology, advantage, disadvantage, and application. Here I am Pankaj Kumar, Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry, and I handle the pharmaceutical analysis and instrumental method of analysis, and along with this the process chemistry, which all deal with the separation of a compound. So let us learn about the adsorption chromatography. So what is adsorption chromatography? Basically, when the compound is going under separation, what we do it here, the compound is being absorbed onto the surface, and where the separation happen, we take in a stationary phase and we take in a mobile phase, and we embed the compound to be separated on the stationary phase. And before that, what is stationary phase? Let us see that's adsorption chromatography. Adsorption chromatography is the oldest type of chromatographic technique. It make use of mobile phase, which is either in a liquid form or in a gaseous form. The mobile phase is absorbed onto the surface of the stationary phase. So the principle for separation of adsorption chromatography involves the analytical separation of compound mixture based on the interaction of absorbent with absorbate. The mixture of gas or a liquid gets separated when it passes the absorbent bed that absorb different compound at different rate. In this, what happened, the compound which is being separated, they travel through the stationary phase. So when they're traveling through the stationary phase, what happened, they travel with a different speed. Look, the main concept behind the separation or the main principle is that the compound which is being separated here, they travel in both. They travel in stationary phase and they travel in mobile phase. Depending upon the nature of the compound choose to travel more in the stationary phase or more in the mobile phase. When it travels more on the mobile phase, it elutes faster, and when it travels onto the stationary phase, it moves slowly. So this is how is the principle for separation. So before we this, what are the stationary phase? The compound which is plotted onto the some coat of a metal or a glass, and that is called adsorbate, right? A substance that is porous in nature with high surface area to absorb substance on its surface by intramolecular forces is called adsorbent. Some commonly used absorbents are silica H, silica gel G, silica N, silica S, hydrated gel silica, cellulose microcrystalline, alumina unmodified silica gel. In spite of different number of absorbent, we have still a question mark to attain a many more different type of stationary phase, because the demand is different for different compound and for different interval the separation happen to be. So look at here, what we have seen an absorbent of different type, and they are used in a different type of material or the compound which is being separated. So look here, I have put a picture here to tell you how does the basically separation happen, right? So here we have not, there are a number of technique in which the absorption take place, but here we have taken column chromatography, which we learned individually in coming classes, that how does the separation happen. So when we look into this, right, we have a stationary phase here, which is in blue in color, silica or alumina saturated with a solvent, right, and then the top in red color is a solvent, and then compound is a mixture of X and Y, which is shown in yellow color. So with respect to time, when you see into the second one, right, you can see that the compound X is moving and Y is moving, and Y has eluted out and X is still into the column, right? How does it travels? See the phenomenon phenomenon of separation here, if you have to understand, what you have to look that how does it travel. The compound X and Y, they are traveling at different speed in the stationary phase. When they are traveling the different speed in the stationary phase, they even travel different speed in the mobile phase, right? Because it is equilibrium between the stationary phase and mobile phase, and the equilibrium time, right? I mean, when they have to transfer the compound between the stationary phase and mobile phase, it is sometimes depend upon the nature of a compound where to spend more time. So in that cases, what we see it here, we see that the compound which has gone more into the stationary phase will be traveling slowly, and here X has taken more time onto the stationary phase than into the mobile phase, whereas vice versa for Y, and the compound Y has eluted first. So this is how the separation happened. Let us talk about the methodology, that how do we carry out the stationary phase, I mean how do we carry out the separation, right? Let us understand the two types of phases and two types of forces involved during the mixture separation process. Stationary phase, that's adsorbent, is the stationary phase in which the adsorption take place. The forces involved help to remove the solid from the adsorbent so that they can move with the mobile phase. So what is mobile phase? Mobile phase is, what is traveling onto the stationary phase. It could be either a liquid or it could be a gas, which is used in the phase of adsorption chromatography. This helps to remove the solid from the adsorbent. When a liquid is used as a mobile phase, it is called liquid solid chromatography. Whereas when it is used and the gas is used as a mobile phase, it is called gas solid chromatography. Look here, to carry out this separation, we require certain quantum of elements to be taken care, right? So they are called chromatography jar, right? I mean, when you look into the separation of by method of TLC, you have to coat that on a silica plate. Silica has to be coated onto a glass plate, or it has to be coated onto a paper, and then when you are going through the column chromatography, you need to fill it into the column, and these are the method through which you have to embed the adsorbent or the stationary phase, right? And then you need to have in a mobile phase. When it is a TLC, it must be in a jar, or when you have to use a column chromatography, you must pour it from the top of the column so that it passes through the column. Then in thin layer chromatography, generally a borosilicate glass plate with the size of 20 into 20, 20 into 5, or 20 into 10, depending upon how many compounds we are going to separate, we choose the plate. But you can look at here, the length is always constant, whereas what is changing is only width. The width is changing because when you have one compound, there is no point in increasing the width of a compound. You can plot a spot as a single, and when you have into 20 into 5, and when you have 2 or 3, you can take 2 into 10, and then 20 into 10, and then when you have more number of compound, you can take 20 by 20. So this is how we take up the plate, how to choose it. Then you have a capillary tube. It's a simple mixture through which the simple mixture is applied on TLC. In TLC plate, what you need to do is you need a capillary through which you can spot the sample, right? Spotting sample is a very challenging, right? You must take certain precaution when you are loading a sample. We'll see this all in an individual chapter when we are going to talk about. And then when you are loading a sample in column chromatography, probably there also we must be very careful to look into. And then mobile phase is liquid or gas, depending upon which type of separation you are doing, is a gas chromatography or liquid chromatography, which is column chromatography or thin layer. And then a stationary phase, again I said there is a list of a stationary phase, and the choosing a stationary phase depend upon what type of compound you are going to go for a separation, right? So with this we will we can understand that how does the separation happen into a compound, and you can consider that. Thank you.